While I was in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had some semblance of the things that I liked to learn about, like philosophy, psychology, and sociology, but I didn't really know how to sell those as disciplines that could return positive ROIs to my parents. So, I was unmotivated to perform as well as I probably could have in high school. I had to do something, so I threw a dart at the board and ended up in a field related to engineering. This was at community college, and while I was there, I learned a lot of valuable skills and made a lot of great friends that I still value today. But I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do forever, so I started assessing my options. What I found was that while I thought that I'd screwed up big time early on, it wasn't really the end of the world. Instead, I could take the skills that I learned from my time at community college and applied them in university by transferring in. Sam Schillick once said that if you're performing well in a field that you don't care about, just imagine how well you could be performing in a field where you do. Hank Green similarly has said in the past when giving life advice that you should do something for as long as you enjoy it and then change course. With those insights in mind, I personally transferred from engineering into tech, and I feel like it was a good decision. I wanted to share exactly how I did it, the statistics around transfers and college admissions, and whether this might be the right path for you. So, speaking from personal experience, I transferred from trade school to my city's local university, and I spent 2.5 years at trade school, and I'm coming up on my last year of university. Important things to look out for in this process are things like admittance GPAs, number of transfer credits that you'll be able to bring over to your new program, and the time that those transfer credits will cut off from your degree, as well as how many credits your GPA is calculated on. For me, it was the last 60 credits or about the last 2 years. You should be able to find all this information on the website of the program that you're looking to transfer into. Common values for this are that your GPA is calculated on the last 60 credits or 2 years of your education. But if you haven't completed 2 years of a degree before you go to transfer, it'll be calculated on whatever you have completed. Again, this can vary though. Some trade schools and colleges have predefined agreements with other universities where they let you complete exactly 2 years of a program at their institution and then let you transfer in directly to that university to complete exactly 2 more years. So those agreements are also something that you should look into when you're planning out this process. For me, in my engineering diploma, after I completed it, I could have gone and done another 2 years at a university outside of my city and gotten a Bachelor of Civil Engineering. Speaking in more general terms, 80% of people that go to community college say that they intend to complete a bachelor's in the future, but only 17% of those people actually do. However, of the 25% of community college students that end up transferring to a university, 62% of those students end up getting their bachelor's. So, planning to get into university is a critical part of this process. Also, a study found that fewer than 60% of community college students were able to transfer over most of their credits, and 15% transferred almost no credits. This suggests, again, that planning is critical to this process. Now to talk more about you and whether this is the right path for you to take. I'd say you need to consider the kind of career that you want to have after school. If you want to work in the trades, it's entirely possible that you don't need a bachelor's degree to do that. In contrast, if you feel driven to pursue a career that requires a great deal of schooling, like law or medicine, this method could be a way to get yourself back on track. But I think you ought to clearly outline your plan in advance and figure out how you're going to balance studying with finances, with extracurriculars to ensure that you succeed in this process. That means figuring out what study strategies work for you, how long can you dedicate to studying, the extracurriculars you want to get into, and how you're going to manage that with a part-time job if you need to take one. Also, with respect to transfer credits, knowing the amount of credits that will transfer over will set you up to better plan around the finances of this endeavor. Unfortunately, one of the cons of this method is that it can end up costing a lot more than having just gotten to university out of high school if a lot of your credits don't transfer over. I personally worked part-time through my time at community college, so I was able to bankroll it, but this is something that you need to consider and plan out yourself. Because college and university isn't free, you need to have strategies in place that ensure that the results you get won't be the same as before. For me, this meant implementing techniques like the Feynman technique, the Pomodoro technique, active recall, spaced repetition, and also for me personally, I found working with others to be beneficial. I know that doesn't work for everybody though, so you gotta test these things out yourself and see what works for you. For me, I also liked throwing up study with me YouTubers sometimes, or going on sites like Study Together where, I felt a little more motivated seeing all these other people doing the thing that I wanted to be doing, right? One other thing to consider with respect to this process is the financial payoffs of higher education. So one other thing to consider with finances is the financial payoff of this process. So in Canada, individuals with a bachelor's degree on average tend to make $68,000, while those without one make $51,000. This difference doesn't consider individual degrees, so you might have better results if you're going into engineering compared to drama. So again, these are all factors that you should consider and plan out in advance. This method has worked for me and a few of my friends, and so I felt an obligation to share it with you because we feel like it isn't as well known as it should be. If you've personally got experience going through this process or you're planning to take a shot at it, I'd love to know your thoughts and your experiences in the comments. And if you find this or the rest of my content engaging, then clicking subscribe helps the channel a lot. That's it. Have a good one.